Welcome back. I'm going to try to do this more quickly than I have in the past, where I'm working on solving puzzles, and it looks like I have a possibility of cracking 2200 today. First, we will look for checks. I do have one check in this position, and that also happens to be a fork of the rook and the king. So that seems like an obvious candidate move. But that knight's not currently in danger, and I have a free knight over here because I assume that knight has just captured the rook, my rook, and now I can take back. But I'm down a rook right now, looks like. My opponent has two rooks, and we each have two minor pieces. So let's see. If I check here, the king moves out of check. Who knows where it would move out of check? That's a good question. I don't know that it would move here, because then that would be a check again when I took the rook. But then the rook would capture back, and it would be lined up with my king. So I don't know if that's good. And also at that point, the king could take my pawn, right? Check, king moves, I take the rook takes me back, and then I take the knight, because the knight's not going to go anywhere just yet, I don't think. And once I take the knight, then this bishop can just move somewhere, and I'll be in check from the rook that's been newly placed here. But if I take the knight first, again, this bishop can just move someplace, and I'm in check, which I don't know if that's good. I mean, I can get out of the check not without much problem, right? But then I just don't know. Also, the king might not move this way. It might move here. And then, I don't know if... Oh, no, it can't move there. My pawn's guarding that spot. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, but it could move sideways, possibly. It's either going to go there or there, I assume. It's probably not going to go further away. Although, who knows? That leaves a lot of options, is what I'm saying. Yes, I win a rook for a knight, but I'm already down a full piece. I don't know. That seems like the best place to start. Because if I start with this is the problem. If I start by taking the free knight, let's just say the bishop moves here, takes a pawn with it while putting me in check. Then I have to decide how to get out of check, which I don't think would be best. Oops. I don't think it would be best to come this way, chasing that bishop, because then the rook can check me here. No, because then I would take the bishop. Never mind. Well, maybe that's not so bad then. But then I probably won't get to win the exchange on the knight and the rook. Take the knight first. This bishop takes my pawn and I'm in check. I have to run. They retract the bishop to someplace else. Where would it go? I don't know. Blockade this pawn, perhaps, which prevents me then from doing the fork in the first place. So I think I should do the fork in the first place. Okay, that was it. And now that I've done this, I pretty much have to take the rook, then the knight, and then get out of check at some point. No. Wait, I gained a point for that? How did I gain a point for that? It says the puzzle rating is pending. 5% of puzzles are not yet rated. This allows us to add new puzzles and rate them. They cannot affect your rating negatively. Well, how about that? Okay. But what should I have done is the question. Okay. So I did make the first oh, sorry. It has to play its move first. Okay. It took him a bishop there is what it did. And that turned out to be a blunder. And my only good move was check. What was wrong with taking the knight first? That's what I like. Why is that bad? That blunders back the advantage. And is that because of what I said? That they do this? And then when I move out of check, it says either one of these is about the same. But I probably would have gone here to chase the bishop. The bishop would have retreated to where I said, which would have prevented the fork. Okay, so I was right about why this the rook move was not good at first. My suspicion was correct about this, is that the bishop gets back here, blockades the pawn, and prevents the knight move. So this was better of my two candidate moves. Okay, and in the puzzle, the king moved to... The king moved there in the puzzle. Now my best move is c2. Wait, why is that the best move? Wouldn't the king just take it? Okay, but before I do the best move, what was wrong with just taking the rook now? Because of this, I get that. And then I take the knight. And then they wouldn't take here now? It says now they would retract the bishop all the way back here probably. Either d5 or a2 or b3. Okay, so one of those spots. Why wouldn't it take the pawn now? Okay, and I'm in check. Wouldn't I just go toward the bishop like before? Okay, and we're at about equality. But the other way was better for some reason. Moving this pawn forward with check was my best move, my only move. So the king will take it. It says it's even whether they take it or just move here. It doesn't make any difference. But in the puzzle, they did not take it. They moved here. And now I take the rook. For some reason, there's a huge difference. Okay, but sorry. Why wouldn't they just take? Why? Because either way, I'm going to take the rook on my next turn, right? And either way, they're going to take back. And then I'm going to hit check here. That's why they wouldn't take the pawn, I guess, because I'm forking these two pieces. Okay, so it didn't take the pawn. It just moved up because my opponent is a supercomputer and knew something bad would happen if I took the pawn. But now I take the rook, and they're going to take back. But now I can't fork, so that must have been better. Now I check first. Now they take the pawn. Now I fork. And in the puzzle, it said the king would have just moved back here, and then I would have taken the bishop. And that's the end of the puzzle. Okay, I'm not sure I understand all that, but I did figure out in the middle of that, I didn't want to interrupt myself, but I did figure out the reason that it wasn't important to take the knight was because the knight can't get out anyway. I mean, it could have originally because the bishop was there guarding that spot, but then it's not important to take the knight because at the end the knight won't be there. Okay, so let's see if I remember all that. Okay, I did the check move and the king moved out of the way. Now I have to remember, I have to know to check here, because if it takes, then I would have a fork. I would take the rook and then have a fork, I guess. But it didn't take, so I take the rook anyway. Then I check with the rook, which forces it to take the pawn. So now I have the fork. Now I win the bishop. Okay. Well, that was harder, I think, than most of the puzzles I've done. But yeah, the rating is pending. So let's go to the next one. Okay, this is an endgame one. I'm down a pawn. My opponent has 2 connected passed pawns. I have only 1 passed pawn. This one's technically not passed, these two, because they're able to challenge each other. Okay. Their rook is in front of their passed pawn, and my rook is in front of my passed pawn, which is the opposite of where we should be. We should be behind our passed pawns. Well, let's see. I can threaten checkmate. I see that. Moving here threatens checkmate. Can they get out of that? What can they do to get out of that? Because if I move here, if they try to get out, well, that's checkmate. If I move here, I think they're gonna... What are they gonna do? Because the rook can't get back there because its own pawn is in the way. I don't see any other move that's better than that. Just because they can't, they're not close to promoting at this point. They can only delay it for a second, I think, by chopping off my back pawn, but then I would get it. There's no way they can get back there, right? Check. Sorry, I said check, but I'm thinking preparing check. Because my king would then be cutting off all of those squares, and it doesn't matter what their king does, that next move is checkmate. And I don't think their rook can go anywhere to prevent that. I'm just going to do that. Okay, it's going to try to come here. I broke 2200, but yeah, that one was 1603. Sorry, the rating is hidden right here behind my top of my camera, and there's no theme listed, but it was made in 3, right? Let's say let's click that, made in 3, and I'm gonna click next. Sorry, that one seems like it was easier, but maybe that means I'm getting better. Maybe that would not have been easier a month ago, 2 months ago. Ooh, queen endgames. Okay. I am playing with the black pieces. My king is trapped. Well, not completely trapped, but pretty close, right? And my queen is under threat. What can we do? Let's see. To orient this in my head. My pawns are moving this way, and their pawns are moving this way. So they have 2 connected passed pawns, and I have 2 connected passed pawns. But I can't move mine right now. I can check. Where can they go at that point? They can come in here. And that leaves this pawn dangerously close to promotion. I can check here. Is that good? I win the queen, right? I don't know. Because again, where would they go? Well, they can't move here because of my pawn. So that's off limits. They could move here to so they can take back after I capture their queen. But then I have a protected passed pawn right here. I think I win that. Let's see. check. They move here. I take the queen with check. So they have to take back. I mean, it would be foolish not to. They take back. I move my pawn. If they move their pawn, then I move my pawn. They move their pawn. I get a queen. They get a queen. Then I check them and I win their queen. I think that's it. Because this check doesn't do that. This check allows other things. They don't have to move in here. Okay. And now it's because I did that, it's silly not to take the queen. Okay. Oh, he's going to come with me. Okay. Well, I can't let him get in front, so I have to move my king. I mean, you know what I'm saying? These are the only two pieces that can move right now. If I move that, he captures it. So I have to move my king. Okay. Then I do this again. And then I promote. Oh, he moved off the file, so he won't be in check. Lined up with his queen like I had originally thought. But there's got to be a way to do that, right? He's gonna, if I check here on F1, he can't come this way because my king guards all of those squares. My queen will be hitting all of these squares and that one. So he'll have to move to one of these. And then I will check there and win his queen. Okay, that was a lot of moves, but I got it. That was a lot of moves. I don't know how many. Oh, the theme is simple. That's not true. Okay, well, I'm going to stop this video now. I solved 2 puzzles in a row. I failed the first one, which I'm still not sure that I understand, but I somehow got a point for it because it was a pending rating puzzle. And I've broken 2200. So, thank you for watching. We're going to keep plugging away.